Vader did not like people finding out he used to be Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi Knight.
You're fulfilling your destiny.
So this week saw the release of Darth Vader issue number 10, and oh boy, what a wild ride with closure I so desperately needed. If you don't know about the Darth Vader series, this is the second Darth Vader run and focuses on him right after being put in the suit and adjusting to being Palpatine's apprentice. The Empire's reign has just begun, and Palpatine puts Vader in charge of the Inquisitors. If you watch Star Wars Rebels, you probably recognize them. The Inquisitors are former Jedi fallen to the dark side and assigned to hunt down the surviving members of the Jedi Order. The last few issues have focused on Jocasta Nu, and if you don't remember her, that's okay. She's from the prequels, and she was the lead person in charge of the Jedi Archives.
They're incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
In this series, we see that she's attempting to restart the Jedi Order. She even made a library of all her Jedi knowledge. This becomes important for a few reasons. Why she's on Coruscant, probably the worst place for a surviving Jedi, is because she's after a secret data file that has records of all known Force-sensitive children in the galaxy. This is to restart the Jedi Order. She manages to enter the ruins of the former Jedi Temple and gets the data, but through some really bad decisions, she comes face to face with Vader. Fortunately, and unfortunately, Palpatine wanted her for her vast knowledge of both Jedi and Sith things, and he ordered Vader to bring her in alive so he could get that information. So it was lucky for both Siths when she came to them. What's cool about this? I mean, she's basically a librarian, and she's pretty badass when dealing with people other than Vader. It's hard to say how badass she is against Vader because obviously he's trying to bring her in alive, so he isn't going to wreck her. And let's be honest, she'd be dead very quickly against Vader if he was trying to kill her. So during their fight, she reveals that the Vault Guardian identified him, and she knows Vader is Anakin Skywalker. Obviously not something Vader wants getting out, but he has orders not to kill her from his master. During this fight is when they tie more of the sequels into the prequel and original trilogies. She explains to Vader that he's just a tool being used by Palpatine, and not much better than a droid that the Emperor's trying to use to stamp out the light side of the Force. But she goes further to explain that is impossible. The Force is eternal, and it cannot be ended or stopped so long as life exists. It will always find vessels as it always has. We see this with The Awakening in The Force Awakens, and in The Last Jedi with Broom Boy. The Force will always find others. And perhaps this is an explanation why certain new Force users are so powerful. As their fight continues, the clone troopers see them and attack them both, assuming they're both Jedi. Which means just after the Emperor came to power, Vader wasn't known to the troopers. Which understandably would lead to some problems since the troopers were told to kill all Jedi. Well, Vader does not find this situation to be amusing at all. When Commander Fox gets on the scene, he tells the troopers to stop firing, that Vader is one of theirs. Vader, who is usually just so forgiving of others, is super pissed that Commander Fox didn't provide his troops with a description of him, so this type of event wouldn't happen. Commander Fox tries to explain himself, but the Sith Lord snaps his neck. Screw you for killing Fives, I don't even feel sorry for you. So Vader and the troopers get to Jocasta and bring her on the transport. Vader questions what she was doing with the memory crystal full of names, locations, and birth dates of children with Force sensitivity. She informs him he's a poor, deluded boy that doesn't even know why Palpatine wanted her captured. She reveals that Palpatine likely wants the list to make more of him, which means that Palpatine may one day replace him. And shocker, Palpatine was always trying to replace Vader with someone powerful if they came along. This is a big issue in the first Darth Vader comic run set after A New Hope. I also find this setup fun. We're being shown, as we've seen in other canon, that Palpatine was always planning ahead and he would easily replace Vader if he found something better or if he was able to create something better. And if you really enjoy the relationship between Palpatine and Vader and want to dive more into that, I really suggest reading Lords of the Sith. Alright, so back to the transport. After she reveals all this, one of the clone troopers asks Vader if he wants them to stun her to stop her Jedi lies. Jocasta replies, "Jedi? You idiot! You don't even know who you're supposed to hate. You're taking orders from a Jedi. This man is Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi. Cue the look between Vader and the troopers, which is simply beautiful. I'm always amazed how expressive you can make people wearing helmets. Vader, of course, then murders all the troopers. He does not want it getting out who he was, and he will kill anyone that threatens to reveal it. Which is why I think when others knew or suspected Vader's identity before he became Vader, they didn't really say anything. They knew the Sith didn't want that information out there and feared the consequences. With Tarkin, even though he suspected Vader's true identity, I feel like in his case it was more of a, doesn't really matter. At least that's the impression I got from reading his novel. Vader then decides to kill Jocasta despite Palpatine's orders and destroys the memory crystal so the Emperor won't get a hold of it. He lies to his master saying Jocasta was killed when carelessly trying to escape their custody and that he learned nothing from her before her death. At the end of the issue, we see Jocasta's friend realize she isn't coming back, and he buries the cave full of the Jedi archives to train the next generation. Much later, we see Luke finding the cave. It isn't known what time period this Luke is from, obviously post A New Hope, but his jacket suggests between episode 4 and 5. However, one of the lovely gentlemen on the storyboard said, in his heart, it is Luke post Return of the Jedi. Even if you aren't a Vader fan, I suggest reading this series, and if you're not into the other canon, you won't be lost. If you've seen the prequels, you can absolutely pick up this series from issue 1 and just dive right in. How do you feel about the fleshing out of the Force more in this issue? Do you feel Vader solely destroyed the information to make sure he wasn't replaced? Or do you think being newly Vader, part of Anakin didn't want those children hunted down? I mean, he's a real softie when it comes to kids.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Thanks so much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe for more Star Wars videos.